you're looking for a used C5 Corvette, one of the things that you need to know is right on the underside down here, there's something called a radiator support that holds the radiator in. If the previous owner happened to hit curbs, like to go up over aggressive inclines, it might bend this radiator support, which is actually connected to the frame of the car. The bolts can snap off. It can be a massive pain in the butt to replace. You can find the GM part for around $700, but if you look on eBay, you can buy one for around 300 bucks. And with some jimmy rigging and some work, and you can replace this in your garage yourself by removing your front bumper, replacing this radiator support. It takes approximately 4 to 5 hours, depending on how bad the damage was. $300 repair. And let's talk about what that support is doing, holding that radiator in, and the issue that there is with the radiator on this car. There is no vent on the underside of this thing, and it's like a big old vacuum. The underside of this car is very flat, but the open section in the front sucks up air, and that's ultimately how it keeps your car cool. It likes to clog up with debris that it sucks up from the road. It fills up over time, and it'll make your car overheat. If you're having overheating issues, use a power washer, but be careful not to bend all your fins. Spray out your radiator. I bet you just fixed your overheating problem. Lights are one of the things that make the C5 look most dated. There is a ton of aftermarket availability, including these sleepy eye headlights, which lower the lid opening, which make them look much more modern. Also, I can't stand personally these clear lenses from the factory. You can pick some of these up for like 40 bucks. Lots of aftermarket options when it comes to lighting. And it doesn't just end up front. Check out these cool side markers, these cool halo tail lights. These LED reverse lights really help you see at night. This F1 style third brake light really helps other drivers see you. Pretty much every Corvette ever has the same bolt pattern, including the C7 Corvette. You can pick wheels anywhere from the C5 to the C7 is my personal recommendation on wheels that will fit properly with absolutely zero modifications except for in the back. Let me show you. You're gonna be just fine if you go ahead and choose a set of Stingray wheels. However, for Grand Sport and Z06, for C6 and C7 wheels, you're gonna need a spacer to make the fitment fit properly, and you're gonna need a wide body as well. However, they fit flawlessly, and that just opened up a massive variety of used wheels you can purchase at a very low cost. Just look for a set of used wheels off of a different generation of Corvette. All Corvettes of the C5 generation have these front vents for brake cooling. However, to identify the difference between a Z06 and a base, the Z06 does not have fog lights that are integrated into this grille. The rarest version of the C5 is the FRC, which is basically this body, the FRC, the fixed roof coupe body, without the Z06 motor or gearing or suspension. You could get one of those in '99. However, the way to identify a base from a Z06 typically is this body design. Another way of identifying is the Z06 is the only one with rear brake cooling. One of the biggest pain in the butts about the C5 Corvette is the entire exhaust system and the way that it is supported. They fixed this on the C6 and newer. However, there's only 3 hangers on the entire C5 Corvette across the entire back, and you're very commonly going to see that tips are sagging and they're a pain in the butt to get aligned. Something kind of funny about the C5 is because of its aerodynamics on the underside, when you go on road trips, you're gonna find that the back actually gets more bugs than the front. Except for your front bumper and rear bumper, which are plastic, almost the entire C5 Corvette is fiberglass, which means almost the entire C5 Corvette is modular. With it not being glued to the body and almost all pressed on, stuck on, you can pretty much take off every single panel except for the hard top, as well as this panel that runs down the bottom, the rocker panel. Every panel can pretty much be taken off and swapped out with whatever you want, because it's all just fiberglass pieces. Like that stance, that's stock suspension. The C5 Corvette uses leaf springs in the front and rear. Chevy's been doing this for years. I don't know why they can't get away from leaf springs, but you can purchase some aftermarket bolts or even use your stock bolts and lift and lower your C5. You scraping everywhere, lift it up. Want it lower, lower it down. Just a few cranks of bolts on the underside and you got a lower car. Do you have an FRC? Having a hard time getting your trunk to pop? Replace your struts. Typically, it'll pop up a little bit more with new struts. Otherwise, a quick trick, take your door and shut it. The Z06 variant of the C5 does not have sound deadening. One thing that you can do is purchase this board that basically locks off the trunk from the passenger compartment. If you have a really loud exhaust on this car, I highly recommend it. It very greatly helps out with drone. However, it does sound a heck of a lot better with it out, but for road trips, it makes this car a lot more bearable. If seats are one thing you just can't get over in the C5 because the factory ones suck, don't worry, I absolutely hated them too. They're really easy to replace. There's 2 bolts in the back, 2 bolts in the front. You can take your old seat out, simple as that. Take 1 bolt, undo the seat belt bracket, put it on the new seat, make a bracket. You can just buy a low rise C5 bracket off of Amazon. I'll link the one I bought down in the description below. It works for a variety of different seats. These are $300 seats off Amazon. I'm gonna replace them in the future for safety reasons. However, for about 1,500 bucks, you can have yourself an extremely safe, high-end set of seats in this car. So if the seats are one thing you can't get over, don't let that be a point to not buy one. Is one of the reasons that you don't like the C5, the tech? Yeah, I know it's really bad. However, the guy that made my headlights, that guy, his name's Night Drive TV. I'll link him down in the description below. He's currently working on a cluster that will replace this whole section in the dash. It'll add climate control functions, Apple CarPlay, everything that you need in a very large screen is going to be coming to the market very soon to make this car feel much more modern. Ah, dang it, a check engine light. Don't worry, the C5 Corvette is the only generation of Corvette ever that you can actually read the codes through this cluster. Want to improve the driving experience of your C5? This is the favorite thing that I've done to this car. MGW short throw shifter makes it feel so much more engaging, really tightens up those throws and makes the car feel a lot more modern. Want to know what the ultimate mod is that you should be looking for on a used C5? It's this hose right here. This is a remote clutch bleeder. These cars use a hydraulic clutch. Your clutch is in the front, the transmission's in the back. So the only way to bleed the clutch is to basically take out the entire rear end, the torque tube, and that's how you bleed the clutch. Sometimes there's air buildup, your clutch will feel like crap. It's a massive job. Look out for a remote clutch bleeder. You can do it, well, right here. Worried about insurance costs, and that's why you won't buy a Corvette? Just so you know, I've talked to multiple different insurance agents. The Corvette is actually one of the lowest vehicles to insure for insurance cost coverage. Reason for that being is insurance goes off of claims that are made on cars, and the Corvette has a very, very low claim to owner rate. For example, there's been as many Corvettes built as Toyota Corollas. However, half of them are actually driving on the road year round. Having consistent lights on your dash or issues with electrical, don't worry, you're not alone. It's the most common problem on the C5 Corvette. You're very uncommonly ever going to come across a mechanical issue on this car if you do all of the maintenance on time properly and keep up to everything. However, you are going to come across electrical issues. There's no doubt about it. There's issues with grounds. Lots of videos are out there on this. Just so you know, electrical issues are in your future. I also highly recommend doing heads cam in these cars. It really wakes them up. Sounds great, easy to do. Will cost you around $2 grand in parts and paying somebody to tune it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that wraps up everything that I can get into 10 minutes here. Have a great rest of your day. Don't forget